In this video I'm showing you my finished 1985 Tamiya Hotshot, but this is the original Mach 1 first edition Hotshot. Hey guys, welcome back to Tamiya Legends, and once again thank you for stopping by. So I've got something rather special to show you today. This is my original Mach 1 first edition Hotshot. There's a fantastic story behind this car, so let's get into it. So in 2020, very early January, I was contacted by an amazing gentleman called George. Really hope he's watching this video. And he said he had two old battered original cars that he'd like to donate to the channel. Would I be interested? And obviously I said yes. We had a little bit of sort of to and fro through the email, and I could see that it was, one of them was a Hotshot and one of them was a Subaru Brat. So yeah, these landed at my doorstep, and I was actually absolutely blown away by them. They needed a lot of work, but you know, I was itching to get into them. So the first thing I did, I had a look at the Hotshot, and at the initial glance I could tell it needed, there was a couple of parts broken. So I kind of just piled it all back in the box and I put it downstairs and forgot about it. But I did crack on with the Subaru Brat, and what a thing. There's the full restoration videos are on this channel should you be interested, and all the detailing of a body shell and what have you. But yeah, this thing turned out so nice, and it was the first ever Subaru Brat I'd actually worked on. And then obviously to have it all original, body shell is re-re, I should say that, but I couldn't find an original one. But it was all brand new, and that has to be one of the most iconic and one of the best looking Tamiya RC cars from the first 100 in my opinion. It's an absolute gorgeous piece of kit. So after I'd finished the Subaru Brat, I thought I'd have a look at the Hotshot box of bits and see what it needed, because as I said, there were some broken bits. Now the main chassis on the one I'd been sent had snapped. I did have the piece that had snapped off, and being original, I thought I'm really going to struggle to get a chassis here. And I was sort of contemplating like epoxy resin, you know, to glue it together. But anyway, there was the chassis needed replacing. The roof, the aluminium roof, the one that came with the car, was pretty battered, and with it being soft aluminium, I couldn't straighten it out. I tried, but it had lumps and bumps all over it. And also one of the FRP front sway bar holders was cracked, was snapped where it joins onto the chassis. So it was three major bits that I needed for it. So what I always do, I took photos of what I needed, and I placed a wanted ad on my Tamiya Legends Facebook sales group and the main group, and just basically crossed my fingers to see if someone would be able to help me out. So this is where it gets a little bit crazy for me. I was then contacted by a lovely gentleman called Donovan Gladden, who lives in Canada. Top gentleman. And he contacted me and he said, I've got a used original chassis you can have. He says, I've also got a roof, and I've also got the FRP bit you need. Again, all three parts were used, but they were solid and intact, and that was the main thing. And I'm like, this is amazing. And he said, you know, you can have them for free. I didn't even pay the postage. You know, that level of generosity. And I've got to be honest, it does happen to me a lot, and I do try to pay it back on the channel. If people need bits that I have, I'll send them out for free. But that sort of camaraderie within this hobby is so strong. It's awesome. Makes it a fantastic hobby. So as I'm in this email communication with him, he then goes on to say, hey, guess what? Do you want to turn yours into the Mach 1 early edition Hotshot? And I'm like, what do you mean? What have you got? So it turns out he sent me this picture, and he's got the three-hole bumper, which is rare. He's got the it's a two-piece bumper. He had the second mounting bumper piece, and he had a set of original Mach 1 gearboxes. And he says, I'll put those in with it, and you can make it into a genuine Mach 1 Hotshot. I was just absolutely blown away. I was like a kid in a sweet shop, I've got to be honest, because to do something like that, it was going to be cool enough just having this restored as an original 85. but to then be able to convert it back to an original Mach 1 just made that super cool. So those parts turned up, and again I just threw them in the box. I wasn't ready to start this, and then in the meantime, as the months were passing, I forgot the gentleman's name, so I do apologise, but I had the limited edition metallic red, Japanese only, Hotshot body shell and wing, and they go for silly money, and I had it on a completely different car. So I put a wanted ad out and to see if anyone had an original shell and wing. Anyway, this lovely gentleman come back and I did a deal. The shell and wing I sent him was worth quite a lot of money, but I swapped it with him and I got a brand new original shell and wing, a set of original decals, and then get this, I even got the original Hotshot gold wheels and tyres. And they weren't these were original. They came in the original packaging, showing the age. I was over the moon. So I then had everything I needed to crack on with this build. So then I actually eventually started it. Now I had already used the gold wheels and tyres on my Hotshot, which I'd done way before I'd started this. In my opinion, every Hotshot has to have the gold wheels, in my opinion. But I used them on my and there was no way I was taking them off that to put them on this. So I have been looking for another set of gold wheels. So yeah, basically then it was just a case of stripping it all down to the last screw, cleaning all the bits up and starting to put it all back together. And I've got to be honest, I'd not checked everything that well. I checked the basics and I had replacement parts for the basics, but I thought as this goes together I'm going to need more and more bits, I'm sure of it. But I have to be honest, it took I think a day and a half to 2 days to get everything sort of cleaned up and then get it rebuilt, and I had everything. It went together like a dream. It was just such a pleasure to put this together. Nothing was cracking, nothing was missing. And quite soon I just had this finished Mach 1 Hotshot. So before I bring the camera over and we have a good close-up look at this car, it's probably a good time now to speak about what makes it a Mach 1 edition. Now I think there's probably 5 or 6, maybe 5 changes from the original. So basically, obviously this was the first one that Tamiya produced and started selling. Now, over the years, I've never actually seen a date of when Tamiya then changed the certain parts on it and started selling the Mach 2 kit. Some things I've read, it was after the first month of release, and other things it was 3 to 4 months into it. Obviously what happens is they sell the original car, people start using it and certain parts start breaking and things start going wrong. So Tamiya quickly put that right, put some new bits in the kits, and then there's no longer the Mach 1 edition. Those faulty bits, as it were, have been replaced. The most obvious thing on the car is the bumper. It's affectionately called the 3-hole bumper because it has 3 holes in the top. It's a 2-piece bumper, but it is so soft. If I lift the car up, you see it bending before the car lifts. So obviously I'm guessing it was snapping. Oh, it must have been snapping. So that was the main change from Mach 1 to Mach 2. The gearbox housings, mouldings actually changed as well, but it doesn't seem that big a deal. It's got an extra hole in or extra hole less. The Mach 1 has an extra hole less, and there's some moulded fins that have changed. There's probably more to it than that. So I'm guessing something mustn't have been quite right with the gearboxes, and maybe after a month or 2 of running them they were starting to show signs of wear. So anyway, Tamiya put that gearbox issue right. And what else was there? There's a brass hexagonal bolt. It's not a bolt, what would you call it, like bracket that the underside of a bumper fastens to, and it sits in the chassis. That changed as well. That's it's not completely different, but it hasn't got the edges on it like the Mach 2 has. And I'm sure there's something else. Oh, and on the front knuckles, I think you call them, the red knuckles, where the 2 holes at top and bottom, where the ball joint shaft, threaded shaft screws into it. That's completely changed. The original Mach 1 had, I don't know what size it would be, but a lot bigger threaded shaft that went into them. And then going to the Mach 2, that changed to more of a standard Tamiya screw size. No idea why. I'm guessing because it was bigger, maybe on impact, because there was less plastic area. That was just giving up the ghost and snapping. So they changed the knuckles so they had more strength in them. That's my take on it. There was something to do with the resistors as well from Mach 1 to Mach 2, but I'm not sure about that. But for me, pretty much, three-hole bumper, the correct knuckles, and whatever I've just said, and the correct gearbox housing. That's what makes it a Mach 1. It's super interesting when you start getting into it. This doesn't make this a super rare car. You know, it's not like I'm sat on the unicorn here, but it is much rarer than the Mach 2 that came out 1 to 3, 4 months after this one was launched. And all of those particular parts were changed. But for me, it's still mega cool to have the Mach 1. You know, there's a Mach 1. Well, there's other, I won't go into it, but we know as Tamiya collectors, there's other Tamiya models that have certain odd features, or there's like a Mach 1, Mach 2, Mach 3 of them. The Hotshot's probably one of the most famous ones for me. So yeah, it's not like if you find a Mach 1 that you've just found a holy grail and you're going to be a millionaire. It's not like that. You probably would pay a little bit more money for a Mach 1 over a standard Mach 2 original, but there's not a lot in it, to be honest. But for me, as a collector, to be able to say, yeah, that is a Mach 1, it makes it rather special for me personally. So let's bring a camera over and we'll get into this. So there she is. Some say this is the best Tamiya car of all time. I haven't really got an opinion on that. It's definitely a classic. Some say it's the most iconic Tamiya car of all time. Again, I don't know. It's certainly a piece of the Tamiya timeline history. What was this? This had a claim to fame, didn't it? What was this now? Oh, it was Tamiya's first four-wheel drive off-road buggy, wasn't it? That's what it was. So it was damn special. And if you remember to the old guidebooks and more importantly the promo videos, all that footage and those pictures were the original Mach 1 edition, so the three-hole bumper, which is kind of cool. So yeah, the wheels and tyres used are from the original. As I say, original body shell and wing, original decals, and then obviously with the extra Mach 1 parts fitted. So unfortunately, I did plan when this was all coming about, because at the time I had the original Mach 2 gearboxes, then Donovan sent me the original Mach 1s, and I also had a set of Riri, and I had planned eventually when I got to this, ready to make this video, that I would show you all the comparisons close up. But unfortunately, I couldn't, because I had to give away my original set of gearboxes because I'd sold a car to my friend Duncan, and the gearboxes were in pretty poor condition, so I sent those original gearboxes off to him. So unfortunately, I can't go into that detail. What we can show you is the three-hole bumper, and there she is. That's awesome to have, but you can see why they changed it. It's just so soft. But again, as I say, the other change is on this screw under here. Behind this bumper is that brass bracket, and I guess, as I said, that did change from the original, but only very slightly from the Mach 2. But yeah, what a thing. So next up, I thought we'd have a quick look at the original against the Riri. Now, I don't know a great deal about this, and I'm not really read up on it, and I probably should have done. There is not a massive amount of difference from the 1985 Mach 2 original Hotshot to the 2007 Riri Hotshot. I don't think much changed at all. Obviously, the kit-wise, it didn't have the mechanical speed controller with it, but they still give you the resistors to put on for sure, because it came with an electronic speed controller. and the decals changed for whatever reason. It had sort of re decals on. This my re has been done with MCI reproductions of the original decals, so it looks like the original did, with standard silver cam 540 motor. But it's a shelf queen. I will run it, but no plans to anytime soon. It does have original wheels and tyres on it from '85, which is pretty insane. You're probably shouting at me now saying, get them off that and get them onto this. I know. I am looking for another gold set. They sort of come and go on eBay. So we'll bring the camera over in a second and I'll show you there's a big chassis difference from the original to the re. But I've also found a different difference which I have never known. So that kind of my nerd juices started flowing, and it came about, funny enough, because I saw this picture from my buddy Lyndon Creamer, and that's his obviously original, and that's a Mach 1. And I was looking at the wing angle of it, and I thought, that wing angle looks different to my re. It looks flatter. Now, knowing the wing setup as I do, there is no adjustment for wing angle. It's set in one position. So that was in the back of my mind. And then this morning, when I start bringing the cars up to start producing this video, I've had the two cars together, and I noticed the wing angles are different, and I now know why. And I'm going to tell you guys. So as you can see, when they're side by side, there's no sort of standout obvious changes from it. As I said, obviously that's a Mach 1 bumper. Had that been the Mach 2 bumper, it's, as far as I'm aware, it's identical to the re bumper. So it's got the different angle, and it's just way more substantial. I don't know if it's coming across on this video about what I'm talking about the wing angle. You see the re is angled slightly down, whereas the original Mach 1 Hotshot is a little bit straighter. And here's the reason why. So on the re, on the cage assembly, you have the wing mounts coming up, but you have this moulded section that joins it onto this side of it. So you've got the wing coming up, chassis, that bit going down, and then you've got a joining piece of plastic on either side. Well, as you can see on the original, it doesn't have that little bit that comes down. So that gives it a very slightly different wing angle. Again, this is something and nothing, but it was just something I was never aware of. And now, obviously, it makes way more sense to me. So again, that's something to look out for if you're buying an original, because obviously parts get changed for re parts and things like that. So if you're looking at an original, I'm not just talking about a Mach 1, I'm talking about an original 85 Mach 2, you know, make sure on the chassis frame that this section is actually missing and it's correct to that one. And here's the biggest change from the 85 original to the 2007 re is the top deck of the chassis. The original is all moulded in one piece in that section, whereas the re they put a big hole in there to get to your radio gear instead of having to drop the bottom out, and it goes on with a body clip, as you can see. So I've just whizzed it off so you can see it, so you can actually see the prop shaft and things, and obviously your speedo and your servo's more at the front. I'm not too sure what the idea of that was. You know, it's obviously for easy access, but nevertheless, when you want to work on your electrics, you're having to drop the main bottom bit off anyway. As I said, there's probably quite a few more differences from 85 to 2005 that I'm not aware of, but yeah, that's the two key ones for me are obviously this chassis change, that cage change, and there's an obvious one which you probably know, the prop shafts are different. So on the original 85 it has hexes at the end, not dog bone, where obviously on the re it's dog bone. And all four drive shafts are different, quite a bit different in how they look. But yeah, that's pretty much it really. So I think I've pretty much covered everything, or I've covered what I know in this little brain of mine. But yeah, super cool. It was for me personally, doing an original Mach 1 was a little bit of a bucket list thing for me. It was something that I've ticked off. Something pretty cool that it wasn't something I dreamed up and I was desperate to do, but then getting the opportunity, and once again a massive thank you to you, George, for allowing me, and Donovan, for allowing me to be able to sort of fulfill this little dream of mine. It's just immense. So yeah, I've done a lot of hotshot videos over the years, and I've still not run one on the channel. Can you believe that? So with my Riri, I will be putting that right at some point. I've got no excuses now. The weather's good. I just need to put some electrics in it and go make a running video. Possibly even take it to the Tamiya Legends Arena. But I'm just lazy, I've got to be honest. But yeah, hopefully that running video will be coming at some point in the future. So I'll wrap that video up here. Just once again, thanks so much for watching. It is honestly, genuinely, massively appreciated. If you happen to be new to this and this is your first time you've seen my stuff, if you please consider liking and subscribing to support us, that'd be absolutely amazing as well. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Give it a thumbs down if you spend hours, days, maybe weeks doing a fantastic polycarbonate shell on your Tamiya car. You painted it perfectly, you decaled it, every bit of it was perfect until the very end when you realised you'd left a protective film on the shell. Happy seeing, guys.